Hi everyone. This is the fourth lecture, which is the second week of the game theory class. Uh, each lecture is corresponding to 1 hour. So if you have taken lecture 1, 2, 3, that means the first 3 hours of the first week. And this is lecture 4, so you are entering the second week and the first hour of the second week class. What we have learned in the first week is general economics. I emphasize that economics is about making predictions. Okay, we talk what is right, what is wrong, things like that. But basically, we are making predictions. We are not physics, we are not chemistry, which is making the predictions on the nature, but we are social science. So economics is predicting the human behavior, individual behavior, or society as a whole. And of course, there's another training in social science, sociology, psychology, politics, and things like that. However, personally, I believe the economics is the best fortune teller, which means we are making the most accurate predictions on human behavior. Why? Because humans respond to the money much more sensitive than morality or any other personal feelings. So think about the important decisions in your life. When you get a job and one job is giving you huge salary, the other is not. Not only the first several years, your lifetime salary from the working for company A is much bigger than the salary from working for B, then probably you will choose the company A for your first job. So the economists analyze the monetary side of human behavior, and that explains best what that human being would do or what that society would do as a whole. Okay, so that is economics. And then we learned a little bit about the the farmer and lion case, or the kind of ghost top game. That is the game theory part of making predictions. People are making choices, and what kind of choice they would make. Of course, some other economists make predictions on interest rate or government regulations or I don't know, the stock price, things like that. However, the game theory deals with choice, in other words, strategy. Okay, now, so the first week was a warming up session, and now from this second week, we are gonna deal with the game theory actually for the first time. What is game theory? Okay, what is game? Game theory is dealing with game, and I want to define game first before talking about game theory. Consider this example. There's an apple. Apple in Seoul. If you know, the Yonsei University is located in Seoul, especially in the area called Shincheon. So Shincheon area in Seoul, very prosperous area, destination for the young people. I hope you can visit there sometime in case you're in abroad or things like that. Anyway, two friends are eating apples in Shincheon. So once again, Tom and Bill are eating apples. If you are Tom, do you care how many apples Bill is eating right now? Yes or no? I mean, if Bill stays there, eating apples, 10 apples, and like stay one place and you say like, oh, come on, let's have fun. Like, why do you keep eating apples and things like that? So it irritates you a little bit, but nothing much. I mean, you're not gonna certainly kill Bill or beat him up because he's eating a lot of apples. Let's change. I'm gonna show you a picture I drew by myself. This is airplane, and this is Tom, and this is Bill. Tom and Bill are going somewhere with the airplane. The airplane has trouble. It landed underwater. So this airplane goes down to the water. And Tom and Bill get out of the airplane and swim to an island. It's a wide open sea, and they are so lucky to find this small island. And then they do not know when people will come to rescue them. There's only one tree in there. That is apple tree. And there are only 4 apples. Now, from Tom's point of view, do you care in this situation how many apples Bill is gonna eat? Of course. Of course. Why? When there are only, let's say, 10 apples in that deserted island, and you have to survive on these 10 apples, God knows how many days, maybe 10 days, 20 days. You don't know when people will come to rescue you. It's a wide open sea, and maybe people will never find you kind of situation. And out of 10 apples, if Bill eats 5 apples first day, oh my God, you are doomed. So when Bill is eating just 1 apple, you're already upset and tell Bill, come on, we have to survive with these 10 apples. Maybe we can have 1 apple a day, cutting it half. Then we can survive maybe 10 days. We don't have any water around here. Apple is the only thing we can eat. Now, compare the situation where you are in Sinchon, Seoul, and eating apple, you are extremely interested in the number of apples Bill is eating. The reason? In Seoul, Sinchon area, if Bill eats 10 apples, 100 apples, even 1,000 apples, still Tom can have apples. There are so many apples out there. You can import from America, China, Japan, and how many apples Bill is eating would not have any effect on Tom's ability to eat apples. Tom's life would not be bothered anyway by the number of apples that Bill is eating. On the other hand, in this deserted island, in this picture, if Bill eats 8 apples out of 10, let's say this is 8 apples there, behind there, Tom can eat only 2 apples. It's like a simple arithmetic, simple calculation. Whatever Bill eats, 10 minus whatever Bill eats is what Tom can get. And the number of apples significantly has a relation with Tom's survival possibility. So, I wouldn't be surprised that Tom would even thinking about tying the Bill to the tree so that he cannot eat so many apples, where in extreme, Tom can hit Bill, something like that. I mean, think about that. You have only 10 apples left. If you eat 1 apple a day, you can survive 10 days. But if 2 people eat 1 apple each a day, you can survive only 5 days. They may kill each other. The second case of deserted island, where what Bill does has directly an enormous influence on Tom's interest, Tom's life, is game situation. So, situation, where you cares about your friends or other people's behavior. That is game situation. It's very simple. I mean, think about game, card game. Do you care what kind of card your opponent has? Yes, if your opponent has a very good bunch of card hold in their hands, then the chance that you are going to win in this card game would be slim. On the other hand, if your opponent doesn't have a good card or sloppy card, then the chance for your winning is really great. So, what other people have, what other people do, has great influence on you. In economic analysis, we usually thinking about perfect competition. Perfect competition is where we can analyze things supply and demand. If there are infinite number of almost infinite number of consumers, infinite number of producers, if you're a consumer like Tom in Seoul, who do not care about other consumers' behavior because you are itsy bitsy small player in this big market. Whatever one individual would do has no influence on the other because the influence is so minimal. If you're a monopoly, which means you are the only person who's buying, only person who's supplying. If you're only producer in the market, then you don't care about others because there are no others. So, in monopoly case, because you don't have any other people to care about, in the case of perfect competition, where there are so many other people, you cannot possibly influence them. Any of them can possibly influence you. We don't have to worry about other people's behavior and choices. So this is where the game theory is not needed. But then you understand that oligopoly, which means the number of companies are more than one, but not so many. Thinking about the mobile phone industry, usually either you get the Galaxy, Samsung Galaxy, or iPhone from Apple. Maybe there's LG. So there are 2-3 big players. If iPhone has a new model, would Galaxy, the Samsung, would care? Of course. I mean, if iPhone has a foldable phone, like a new design, Samsung would care because if iPhone became popular, Samsung would lose its profit and customers. So in this situation, when there are small number of people, usually that is the game situation. So game situation, what a player gets is decided not only by his or her own action, but also by the others' actions. So if you are taking exam and you are evaluated by scores, for example, in this game theory class, I say, okay, if your score is over 90 point, you will get A plus. Then it's your behavior that decides your grade. If you study harder, you go over 90 points, then you will get A plus. On the other hand, if I say, oh, this is a relative evaluation, so I will give only 20% of you A plus. Then sometimes you get 95 but still get A0 or not even B. Sometimes you get like 80, but if other people do really, really bad, you can get A plus. So if I said, oh, I'll give you A plus for the top 20%, this is a game situation. Your grade is not decided solely by your effort, but other people's effort too. So that is a game situation that we are going to deal with. In other words, that is the strategical situation. Also, I already said in a card game, what cards others have is as important as what cards you have, concerning the winning probability of you. And this game situation is usually applicable to the situations with a small number of participants. So the game theory's motivation at first is if Hyundai Automobile Company competes with another Toyota company in the world market, what would they do? There are only so many automobile companies in the world. Okay, so the small number of big firms. The interesting is thinking about monopoly. That's pretty important industry. What kind of industry it is? For example, electricity in Korea. The Korean Electric Company is the only electric company in Korea that's monopoly. The perfect competition. I think there are, I don't know, maybe restaurants all over Korea, they are competition. Perfect competition. So many restaurants around it. But thinking about like what is oligopoly? Like, airplane company in Korea, the airline services, the Korean airline and Asiana. What about the airplane itself? There are only two big players in the world, Airbus and Boeing, kind of thing. So when there are a small number of players, usually that industry means a lot in the economy. Something we say, okay, monopoly and perfect competition is like 90 something percent of the economy, and we don't have to really worry about oligopoly. Not really. Oligopoly, make issues and troubles probably half of the economic issues. So we need to have a tool to analyze this oligopoly, like 2-3 firms competing each other, like this telecommunication, LG, KT, and SKT in Korea, 3 telephone companies, telecom communication companies, or the mobile phone like Samsung Galaxy and iPhone, or the airplane, Airbus and Boeing. Those things cannot be explained by supply and demand curve. So the economists agonizing themselves for a long time, because in 1780 something, like 230 years ago, the great Adam Smith talked about economy, and immediately we realized there's a supply and demand curve. However, only in the 20th century, like 1950 something, the people finally realized we need game theory, and they began it. So it's a relatively new area. Of course, it's 70 something years old, but relatively new field in economics. Once again, so what the game theorists ultimately would do? Of course, this is a part of economics, so we are making predictions. Let's make a prediction about some silly ball game. You have thrown a ball to this area, great area. After a while, where would your ball ended up? The green ball, location of green ball, the location of red ball, the location of blue, the location of yellow ball. I'm quite sure most of you picked the red ball's location because it bouncing around and will end up red. What is the name for this? Equilibrium. In physics, the location of the red ball is in equilibrium state. Why is it so? Because red ball would not move. What about green ball? Green ball cannot stop here. It's gonna fell. The blue ball is going to fall on the right-hand side. What about the yellow? Oh, it's not going to move. So to tell the truth, we have two balls in equilibrium. That is the yellow ball and red ball. The difference is the red ball, if you just touch it, it shake a little bit and come back. So we call this stable equilibrium. The yellow ball, if someone touch, goes other places forever. So this is unstable equilibrium, stable equilibrium state, unstable equilibrium state. So blue and green are not the equilibrium state. Yellow and red are. But then red is the only stable equilibrium, so it's much more likely we would find the ball in the place of red. Why all of a sudden the physics lesson? Our purpose is to find out the future, predicting the future. Let's assume that the future we want to predict is this ball. Where the ball named economy, the economy would land it up, stops. Physics, according to physics lesson, the ball always stops at equilibrium state, equilibrium point. So the economic question is like, oh, where the ball called economy would stop in the future? And the answer is the red spot, because it's equilibrium state. That is why the economists say equilibrium, that means prediction. So you know market equilibrium. I mean, if you ever took the microeconomics course, you know must have heard market equilibrium. In any economics, you would have heard equilibrium concept. Then what is the meaning of equilibrium? The equilibrium is where the ball would stop, and the ball's name is economy, market economy. So market equilibrium means what will happen to the market. That is prediction. So whenever you heard equilibrium in economics, you have to realize that we are making predictions. Why don't they say market prediction? To tell you the truth, when you say equilibrium, your mom would not know the meaning. When you said prediction, mom would understand. If mom would understand, mom would say, come on, I send you Yonsei University paying big money, and all you can say prediction, which without even attending the university, studying economics, I understand. So in order to make your mom happy, we have to transfer the easy word to the difficult word. So even though we are doing something simple, your mom would say, equilibrium, my son and daughter are talking about equilibrium, which I do not understand. The teacher of Yonsei University must be teaching something to my kids. So it's easy way to make your parents happy. Or, in a way, like if you go to the hospital, the doctors scribble some like Latin word, like aspirine something. I don't know. So I think the judge always write down something we can never read. So these learned people, in order to increase their value, they make an expression which is difficult, not common, something that common people would not use to make themselves valuable. Okay, that's the secret. Don't tell anybody. Equilibrium is a state where no change occurs unless some outer force is imposed. Go back here. This red ball would not move under the condition that nobody touch it. Nobody touch. If somebody touch, that's outer force. Outer force is imposed on, everything would move. But without outer force, nothing would move. That is equilibrium state. This blue ball, no outer force, but still because of gravity, it falls down. Okay? So find an equilibrium means make a prediction. So in the exam, I ask you, find the equilibrium of this game, you should immediately understand that a professor asked me to make predictions about this game. Okay, so formally understand the equilibrium. Equilibrium is not only the game theory, it's in all economics. And once again, equilibrium means making predictions. I already mentioned stable equilibrium, unstable equilibrium, market equilibrium. So finding equilibrium is making predictions. You know some fortune tellers? I heard about there are fortune tellers. In Asia, it's a lot. They ask your birthday, and birthday means something. Not only birthday, which year, which hour, which minute. So, for example, I was born in 1968, June 4th, and the time was 11:30 at night. Okay, so the Korean fortune teller asked me that, and they say, "Oh, according to your birthday, you're stupid," something like that. Okay, you'll be unhappy. You are going to be promoted, something. You know, palm reading, this palm reading kind of thing. And I think there's coffee fortune telling in some country, card fortune telling, and you look at the star fortune telling, and somebody look at your face and tells your fortune. So what I'm talking about, in game theory, we are going to hold dominant equilibrium, Nash equilibrium, subgame perfect equilibrium, Bayesian equilibrium, perfect Bayesian equilibrium, etc. Okay, in this class, it's like different group of fortune telling skills. So can you say the birthday fortune telling is better than card fortune telling, card reading? Or the palm reading is better than face reading? Not really. So all these concept has a good point and bad point. But nothing beats the other permanently, completely. So we are going to visit each other fortune telling method of the game theorist through this course. And then when you finish this 5 and a little bit more, it will be over. You are going to finish this game theory course for the first time. Of course, if you go to the graduate school PhD course, there are much more game theory equilibrium, but that's what we are going to do in this class. Okay, see you in the next class.